here today, and I'm gonna study the nullish coalescence a little bit, remember what it's about, and put it on the video there, because I'm gonna film the video, the ternary operator video, and edit both of the videos after the stream. And then I'm probably gonna have a lot of time, so I'm gonna work on the portfolio that I was working on. And I think for this portfolio, what I'm gonna do is remove I was using Web3 React, but because I'm gonna do it with Next, I'm gonna do it the other way, which is directly connecting using the window object. And I got some code from a tutorial from, fuck, I forgot his name, but it's a YouTube channel that, yeah, I forgot the name actually. And the problem with Next.js and the connection of the MetaMask is because Next.js renders everything server-side. So the libraries don't work because I think the libraries assume the window object under the hood. And in Next.js, you have to make the checks to see if the site is rendered already. So you have to put if type of window is different than undefined, then you put the code for connecting the wallet. So if you're using Next.js, you can't just use the libraries, at least the ones that I know of. Maybe you can use Morales, but I don't want to use that because I don't want to rely on them. I think Web3 React comes from the team that built Uniswap, but is more decentralized. Morales is centralized, is like a service for maybe like Alchemy or Inferior, something like that. And they make money based on this thing, so I think the strategy overall for these kinds of things is just to give everything for free. Then once everyone has built all their infrastructure on top of these APIs, then they start charging for money, and then that's the problem because you have too much gravitational force built on top of it. For some use cases, I think it makes a lot of sense because you don't want to spend a lot of time dealing with this kind of stuff. So that's usually how markets work. And so there's nothing wrong with that, I think, but it's not what I want to do for this particular case. I don't want to rely on them and build on top of that. So that's why I'm gonna try to use it to connect just with the normal way using the window object instead. And the downside of doing that is that one, it's harder to create because you have to create the context yourself, and two, it's harder to connect multiple different wallets if you want to. That's the problem. But I think for my thing, I'm just gonna connect MetaMask because I just wanna test stuff out, and I also just wanna deploy the portfolio as fast as possible because I was using Heroku and then for some reason it stopped working. I think they changed their terms of service or something like that. I know that recently they changed the way that they deal with Postgres databases. So, but I wasn't using any database, so I'm not sure why the portfolio doesn't work. But my plan now is to also add a small database to the portfolio and see what happens. Maybe change the way that I'm sending the form, because I have a form there, and then the form sends me an email every time puts a question there, but it might be better to just use the database instead to collect the emails. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hey guys, how you going? My name is Dom, and in today's video, we're going to be having a look at the nullish coalescing operator within JavaScript. Okay, so this one right here works in a very similar fashion to the logical OR, but it's just a tad more strict. Okay, so we're going to be firstly having a look at a problem which we are then going to solve using this new operator. Okay, so as we can see right here, I've got this function which gets user-defined settings for some sort of game. So these settings right here, let's pretend they are entered by the user in some sort of form. So the user has said they want a difficulty of easy. Okay, and optionally they can also provide a starting cache amount. In this case, they did not provide a starting cache amount. Okay, so on line 7, I'm basically saying, you know what, if they have provided a starting cache amount, we're going to use it. Otherwise, let's go to a default of 500. I'm then logging out the default, I'm logging out the cache amount. Okay, so of course in this case, we get 500 right there because of course this logical OR is basically saying if this right here is falsy, then we're going to default to the right side this 500. Okay, so this works perfectly fine if I was to provide a starting cache amount. So for example, something like this and then say 2000 in this case, or 20,000. In this case, of course, right now, we get 20,000 in the console because of course they have provided a non-falsy value here for starting cache. Okay,
If I
so
remember correctly, the difference is that R doesn't check for null values or something like that. This is the small thing that I don't remember. I know that if it is some type of value, then the R is going to consider as false, and the coalescence is not going to consider as false. So I think coalescence is just for example, if you have 0, then the R considers that as false, or the ternary operator consider it as false, and then if you have the nullish coalescence, it doesn't consider that as false, I think.
the
I don't
problem with this
remember
design
real.
is, if I was to make this 0, okay, we can see it is now 500, right? So 0 is a perfectly valid amount of money to start a game with, okay? But of course here, it's skipping to 500 because 0 counts as a falsy value. So saying, okay, is this falsy? Yes, it is, it's 0, so go to 500. So how do we get around to this problem? Well, we could use a ternary operator. We could say, for example, essentially, if starting cache is undefined, so if it was not provided, then we can say 500. Otherwise, let's go to the actual starting cache amount right there. So this right here works, as we can see, we get 0 in the console. However, it is quite long to write out, and it's got duplicated values here. We have starting cache here, and we have starting cache here. So how can we shorten this? Let's go back to our logical OR, and we're going to be changing these two pipes to be instead two question marks. And this right here is the nullish coalescing operator. It checks if this value right here, the left side, is null or undefined. If it is, then we're going to go to our 500 default. So now saving this and refreshing, we get the exact same result of 0, and it's working perfectly fine because of course.
Let me just write down here. I'm gonna do this one on top of the other because I want to represent that the difference in the ternary. It's probably not gonna be a long video. I'm gonna try to make it as short as possible. Maybe I should do the other way around. Oh, actually,
we've defined 0 right there. Now, what if I was to, for example, not provide 0? Now we get 500. Okay, so of course, in this case, starting cache is undefined, so of course we go to 500 right there. Also, let's make starting cache null, and we get the exact same result, because this checks for null or undefined. Let's now make it 2000, and of course we get 2000 right there. So basically, that is how the nullish coalescing operator works. Now, what about compatibility? Well, it's compatible in Node.js version 14, and in the browser, it's a little bit, what do you call it? A little bit unsupported. Well, as we can see here, we have Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, and iOS Safari. However, currently, as of 2020 June, we have no support for Opera Mobile, Firefox for Android, or Samsung Internet, and a few more. So you probably want to, only use this on the server side or in transpiled documents. Just keep that in mind, but it can definitely come in handy when you want to do something like this to default your values to certain things. Okay, and that right there is the nullish coalescing operator in JavaScript. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So now let me put something to listen to and work on this thing. So first, I close this. These YouTube videos. Okay. First thing that I'm gonna do, I think, I also need to make this smaller. It's better to see. Just remove this thing from here. The thing is, I don't remember. I think it was only on this folder that I put there, and I have to uninstall. Yeah, I did this one outside of the front ends. They're essentially the same code, but the front end wasn't working, so I did another one to see, because I copied everything from the previous portfolio I had into front end, and then it was just a mess to see what is wrong. And this one I copied only the stuff that was working before, besides the Web3 stuff, and then I copied one thing at a time to test to see what was giving me the issue there. So I think I have to remove the packages. I don't think it's not a problem to show this stuff. So I think it's yarn remove. Yeah, I think that's the only package that I installed. And now that I remove this stuff here, the functions should connect. And then this conditional button here. And maybe I shouldn't remove this one because it's gonna be very similar. And maybe I'll leave these functions. And the rest of this stuff, I think it will work fine. So now is the annoying part that I have to figure out what part of this code is the stuff that I'm gonna use there. Oh, this is the context file, not the connection file. Yeah, so in Next.js or React, you have to create a context when you wanna use the same thing on multiple different spots, because the way that React works is that it goes from the top down. So you have the top components, and that component is gonna have children components, and the information is gonna pass as props from one to the other. But when you have a situation when you have a component that is levels below, and you want to pass the information above, there's some tricky things you can do to pass it, but they are not very efficient. So the people that created React created a library that allows you, which is the context library that allows you to pass that information anywhere in the tree that you want. And there are some variations of that, like recoil or some other one that are more advanced cases where you wanna hold the context for both things at the same time. But for most cases, I think that the context works. And then, but it is more annoying to figure out how to do it, because you have to create a specific file for a context, and then you use this context provider and pass the values, and you render the children that is props passed from this, I think. Yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do is copy the entire file and then create the context on somewhere here, I think in components. And they created a separate folder for that, so I'll probably do that too. They're using JS as well, so maybe I should use JS just to not complicate everything. Most annoying part for me of using TypeScript is that I don't know all the types of React, and then you have to look it up, and it seems like a very annoying thing to do. But I understand that it's probably better for bigger projects, because then it's easier to understand what is everything, the types of everything. And it's still really annoying. So what is the error here? It's probably the type that is complaining about. Yeah. Oh, before I did that, maybe I should see if it's gonna work or not. This stuff is useless. I think it has to do with because they were building an Uber application. Oh, it has to be like this as well. Wait, let me see again how they did it. Oh, Uber provider. Uber contacts. I think this is wallet's provider, maybe? No, it's contacts. This stuff is useless for me, I think. Sanity is useless as well. Useless. I think also useless. This is the stuff that I need. Obviously, I could look this up, but it's easier to. Maybe I should also ask for ChatGPT to see if it's gonna give any interesting inputs, outputs. I think it will. Yeah, I'm gonna ask for this on ChatGPT. I also finished studying all the other files. I finished yesterday. What is the best way to connect a blockchain wallet to a Next.js application? Yeah, I got this thing yesterday as well. I think maybe they thought that I was a bot because of how many requests I was making, how many things I was doing there. But I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna log in again, hopefully it still works. Or maybe it's because there are a lot of people using it, so. But I don't know. Okay, so here they're checking to see if the window Ethereum exists, which is so pretty much checking to see if the site is rendered already, and then trying to send the request for the wallet. So if there is an addresses, which means that this returns something, then it sets for the first address that it finds. And this is another problem as well. Also remember that there is a problem when you connect, but this is a bigger problem, I think. When you connect wallets to sites, you can't actually disconnect them. You can only remove the event listeners that are attached to them. Because the only way for someone to disconnect to the website is to go to the wallet and then disconnect it from there manually. Because you don't have access, I think. You only have access to the window object, and the wallet is attached to the window object. Oh, and this is useless, I think, as well. Useless. Nice. Yeah, so current account is the address. Base price is useless. Yeah, so this is the check you have to make for Next.js. Okay, and then it's gonna, every time the page changes, which is why you use the use effect, it's gonna call this function and it's gonna try to connect the wallet. Not sure if this is the best way to do it. I should get current users info. So this doesn't matter. I think this one doesn't matter as well. So this checks to see if the wallet is connected. When is this function called? Oh, it's just passed there. Yeah, so this you use on the consumer, which is when you're gonna use the context, then I think you have to destructure the thing and you use that. So they're probably using on another file. It's a function that connects by sending the request and checking the thing. Oh, I also did I remove? Yeah, I removed the. Yeah, so now I have to delete this stuff as well from here. Yeah, now I'm gonna search for the file that they use this stuff. Uber contacts. Oh, you have to wrap the provider in the application. So let me do that as well. We should probably change the name of the file as well. In case I want to put more context in the future. It's probably using on the components. Yeah, then it destructures and it uses the use context thing. Use context hook from React. Oh, he's getting the context. Let me go back to the other page because I don't think I understand where the context is used here. Oh, it creates the context and then passes the value that creates inside of the component. I think I get it now. Yeah, so the Uber context is gonna be a component that is part of the React library with the create context thing. And then it passes the values that creates on this component as props to the other one. Trying to understand if I understand trying to see if I understand or to think if I understand the children here that is gonna render in the bottom there, how that works. Because you're passing that inside of the use context, so I guess the use context probably renders the children or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna spend time on that now. Maybe in the future to understand the source code of React better. Oh, it's because you're putting here the wallet provider, which is this component. And the children is gonna be the components of the application. But it isn't exactly because the children is the props, so yeah. I think it might be, probably is that. So the children is the components, but I don't understand how because if it was if the props were the component here on the Zuber provider, you would have to pass as a value inside of the component here, I think. But maybe not, maybe... I think what is happening is that the children is all the components of the application, but I'm just not really sure. I don't remember really well, because I don't understand how this works, if it is, because you're not passing any value as props. But maybe because you're using the dot provider there, there's some special thing that happens that I don't know. You're using this context dot provider. Yeah, I have no idea. And now I don't know. I think I'm gonna finish this first and then I'll study that. Yeah, but I was getting the wallet context here. I think I closed the wrong one. I was in components. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. Another thing that I have to search about this structuring is if it works just with the name. I think it does work, because I remember using, for example, in a use context like this, you don't have to put all the values. You just put the values that you want, and it still works. And I'm not sure that the order has to be correct or not. I have to study that. But I think as long as the name is correct, but maybe not actually. Maybe the order has to be correct. And then use the connect wallet, which is the function to connect. Doesn't take any arguments, so yeah, but let me so they are not using the connect wallet on this component. Oh, they use the MetaMask. Oh no, this is for paying. And so look into other components. Maybe it's probably on the navbar. Yeah, connect wallets. Yeah, so they just have a connect wallet, but they don't have a disconnect one. And this is the limitation that I was talking about, where because if you use Web3 React, I think what you're doing is attaching a bunch of event listeners. I think it is worth studying that, but it's because I don't know how they did it here. This disconnect. So I guess I'll have to search for myself. But I'm debating because as I doing this, I'm remembering a bunch of stuff and I'm also getting a bunch of questions. So I'm not really sure if I should study them now or leave it for another time where I just study these things. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm doing because the idea that I have in my mind is to work on the videos first, and then but the issue is for these initial videos I don't think it's really good to do them on stream because a lot of the times there isn't anything that I have to study or it's just not really interesting. So, but when I get to the point where the problem is that I still have to do a lot of videos and I'm not sure how long it's gonna be. So I'm debating on whether or not, because I'm trying to be more consistent with streaming, I'm debating whether or not to just work on the videos on this stream as well. And then once I get to the point where I'm gonna make videos about React, Next.js, other frameworks, and then Web3, data structures and algorithms, stuff like that, where I'm gonna have to study. I think this is gonna be perfect for things like this, where I can study, use context or all of this stuff, go study the source code of these libraries to understand them better. And I'm gonna use all this information to compress that information to put that on the other video. So the idea that I'm having for the other channel, the way that I look at it, is like information compressing, where I do all these studies on this stream, show myself live, learning everything, and then I compress all the information in a much smaller time frame for the other channel. And then as I do that, I will improve as well on building applications or everything, because I will have to learn a lot by not only by studying more, but also by thinking about how I'm gonna compress that into the smallest time frame as possibly can. But the reason why I'm saying this is because if I do stuff that is not related to that on these streams, then I think it's not really worth it to study them or to try to investigate them now, because I'm gonna do that in the future anyway when I'm building the videos. So I'm debating whether or not to go on a tangent here and then study that stuff that I'm having questions about, because the problem is that I'm gonna forget the questions if I leave it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna continue to work on this and not really care about these questions that I'm having. I'm just gonna do the simplest thing that I can, and then yeah, move on. But I think probably tomorrow, or actually I think I'm only gonna stream on Friday now, but probably at that time I'm gonna go back to structuring the videos on live stream, because I think it's not that good to do this kind of stuff, because then I'm gonna lose focus, I think, a little bit. So it's better to just do as many videos as I can until I get to the point that I'm gonna have to study stuff. Because to build these things, I'm gonna run into these problems anyway, and I'm gonna have to spend time searching them, and then it's gonna be better if as I do that, yeah, once I get to the point where I'm gonna make videos about Web3 and this kind of stuff, then it's better to actually build things on stream, because then I'm gonna be able to write down the questions and use that to study and then do the videos. I think that's better. Yeah, so I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, and I'm probably gonna search on Google as well how to disconnect the MetaMask without using libraries. But I think for connecting it's pretty easy, just use the function. And I can do the way that they did it there. And then I'm gonna search for how to, and I probably don't need this. Let me see for what is the point of this MetaMask. Oh, it's the window Ethereum. But do they use it anywhere? Yeah. No, I guess it's just to access the wallet whenever you want. So this is used on other parts of the application. If you want, you can use this object, which is still the same thing as typing all of these things. So it's just I guess they did it so that it's more simplified. And then you can use this object to send transactions or ask for, yeah, maybe when you put buttons and things like that. And let me see if it works now. And remember, I don't know why, I think they changed the way that Next.js works, but now every time I have to test something, I have to build the thing and then start. So I'm not really sure if I'm doing something wrong, or I think they definitely changed. They made some changes to Next.js, but because before I didn't have to do that, I was just every time you start again, you would show the changes. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Okay, so looks like I didn't erase Web3 from somewhere. Okay, here. Yeah, this is the condition to see if the wallet is connected or not. So I'm gonna have to search for that as well. And one of the things that I don't like about this is that it only works for MetaMask, and recently MetaMask made changes to the Infura made changes where they're gonna collect IPs, and I think Alchemy is gonna do the same. And the problem with MetaMask is that I think it has 80% of the market or even more, so they pretty much control everything. So it's a centralizing point for the blockchain. And because of the ABV problems and the way that the block building works and the validation works, there's a lot of incentive for the providers like MetaMask to... Yeah, I'm not sure actually. Because I don't know if they... Yeah, they don't have the power to censor transactions, but they have the power of giving preference to certain miners. So there's potential for collusion there. That's the problem. It's like politics got into play because of market dynamics. It becomes an exponential thing where you have only a few players and then they control all the market. And then if that's the case, then it's a big problem. And because of market dynamics, it's very hard to decentralize again. Because the power only compounds itself in momentum. All these people have more incentive to keep the control because they control all the MEV. But there's also the argument that they are not incentivized to do that, because if they do, then they would contribute to the blockchain failing. So, and there are other agents that are part of the system that also have the incentive to decentralize. So there's always this balancing act between these different forces. But I think at the end of the day, probably the market dynamic forces will win. And that's the biggest problem that I see with the blockchain right now, as it is. that's the problem with Ethereum. That's one of the reasons why I'm not really sure, unless, because maybe I'm wrong. There's two ways to look about it. One way is that the problem is a fundamental problem of the structure of the blockchain itself, because it is built on top of the game theory of market dynamics, which means that it's gonna deviate towards an exponential distribution because of the momentum and power that the market dynamics structure incentivizes on top of technology, which gives more power. It creates a massive momentum, which politics is not strong enough to regulate because of the lack of coordination between human beings. So that the tendency of market dynamics is always to deviate towards a Pareto distribution, and that's why I have politics, because that's regulating. But that's not enough, because with exponential power and with more power you have, the more velocity and moment of inertia the mass has. So the power increases the moment of inertia, which makes it more difficult to regulate the markets. And the tendency of the markets is always to mimic the reproduction forces, which are the Pareto distribution on social structures. Because that's how we align in groups, and that's the shape of competition, let's say, and natural selection. But there's always this balance. So that's one argument that I think is the strongest to me, where because the whole infrastructure of the blockchain is built on top of market dynamics, is gonna be always centralized at the end of the day, and it's like communism. It's just psyops in order to change whoever has the most power, but there's always someone with the most power at the top, and the conversion is always for a Pareto distribution because of the nature of markets. But the other argument to that is that the essential problem is not the nature of transactions that creates the market dynamics, which creates the exponential distribution. The essential problem is the MEV. And if you're able to calculate the perfect balance of the MEV, you're able to regulate the market structure autonomously, which means that there is a balance, even though the infrastructure is built on a certain way that is always going to deviate towards asymmetry. There is a certain balance you can achieve based on all this complexity and coordination between different agents in the system and the game theory that is going to make it so that it balances itself out autonomously based on all these interactions. But based on the stuff that I study about MEV and block building, I don't think that's the case. So that's why I think that the future is probably going to be another consensus protocol. I think it needs to exist. And the issue with trying to change the market dynamics, I'm not really sure about that as well, because I think I thought about that, but then because how would you have a world where you don't have transactions? I think that's impossible. So I think that the market dynamics is probably a fundamental structure of the universe, because everything is transactions. So I think that the solution has to be, I will go back and forth in this, but I think that the solution has to be balancing out the nature of transactions better, because I think that the reason why market dynamics is out of balance is not because of the property of transactions, but is because of the relationship between the limbic system and prefrontal cortex. So it's more of the human collective consciousness on top of this nature of transactions creates this asymmetry. So the transactions themselves are not what leads to balance, is the supply and demand. And the supply and demand are imbalanced because of the genetics of human beings, because of the natural selection. So it is not sustainable because there's a lag behind the evolution and the power that it creates. And I think that's the dynamic that it needs to change. So I think that it's possible that the blockchains are the correct way, but the evolution is going to depend on the MEV, I think. And MEV has to do with the consensus protocol and the block building and the complexity of that. So maybe they are on the right track. That's why it's really hard to figure out Yeah, but I think the biggest problem is the proof of stake thing, because that leads towards centralization, I think. So that's one of the reasons why I think the consensus protocol has to be more complex. And I think there's probably something that can be done if you gather multiple different protocol of consensus together. I don't know why anyone hasn't tried that yet. So instead of having, but maybe it's because I lack fundamental knowledge about how it works and the hash functions. But it seems to me that it should be possible to create a structure that you have multiple embedded consensus into it. So instead of having proof of stake, you have all of these different types of consensus, like proof of history, proof of stake, and proof of whatever, and you connect them together in a way, because I think that's what's happening with human beings as well. Because we do have this consensus subconsciously, which is reputation and all of this stuff that are pretty much protocols on the subconscious mind of how to communicate with other human beings. You do routines, which create the structure of identity, which has gravity, and everything is connected through this informational system. And I think that's pretty much the evolution that is going to happen in the blockchain space, because I think it's just a reflection of who we are, just in the same way that the internet is. I think I'm gonna ask ChatGPT as well. Maybe it will give me a better answer. To connect the blockchain wallet to an Next.js application, you would typically use an API provided by the wallet provider. This API will connect. Okay, that's not a. What is the best way to connect a blockchain wallet to an Next.js application without using an API? Using window object. I'm also probably gonna use ChatGPT if it is still free to think about the titles of the videos and for SEO purposes as well, and for thumbnail ideas. I think this is probably gonna be. I saw a video about this guy. I think he's Devin Nash, his name. I watch his videos a lot, and he understands about marketing a lot. And the last video he made was about ChatGPT. And he basically shows examples of how to use it so you can create the better titles and things like that. It's extremely powerful. It is generally not possible to connect the blockchain wallet to an Next.js application without using an API. This is because blockchain wallets typically do not expose their functionality through the browser's window object. Okay, this is a wrong answer. Obviously. Instead, they provide an API that allows you to interact with the wallet and perform operations such as sending and receiving transactions. Using the window object would only allow you to access the wallet if it was specifically designed to do so, and then it would be considered a poor design choice. It is much secure and reliable. Yeah, that I agree with. I think it is a poor design choice, so there's probably better ways to do it. It's much more secure and reliable to use the wallet provider's API, which is designed specifically for these purposes. If you are unable to use the wallet provider's API for some reason, you could potentially use a third-party service that provides. The other thing that I'm asking myself now is, and I think I did study a little bit about that before, but I also want to study more, is how are the wallets made in the first place, these wallet providers, how the source code works. Because I think I understand how the process of creation of the account in Ethereum, where it creates the public and private key, but then the management of these accounts through the provider, without the provider having full control of the funds in their account. I don't understand how that works. Because in my mind, the only thing that makes sense is that they have the control over your wallet at some point, but I'm not really sure how that works, and it's hard to find this information. But that's the thing that I was talking about before, where I think it's gonna be better to study this stuff only later on once I have enough videos. So once it gets to the point where I'm gonna make videos about Web3, because then I kill two birds with one stone, I think. Now this seems to be a better way to do it. Yeah, I need to study RPCs more. Remote protocol. Remote protocol is something. Forgot what the C stands for. I can find other playlists that are good. The best one that I found so far has one music that is copyrighted, which is this one that I'm playing now. The playlist, not the music. Let's go back. And this is using jQuery, I think, based on this. So you request the if request accounts. So I guess these methods here that you can send are these ones. Probably. Also, it doesn't exist here. Yeah, I think it is the methods. This one probably changed. So this returns a list of accounts. No accounts changed. Oh, it's here. And they're all checking for the first account on the list of accounts. Because I think the first account is the one that is currently connected to based on this method here. It returns the accounts in the order such that the first one is the one that is currently connected. Because the MetaMask can have multiple different accounts on the same thing. Yeah, the MetaMask has to know your private keys. It doesn't make sense that it doesn't. Because otherwise, how would you be able to get it from Unless they do something like the password thing, where you use some hashing mechanism to... Yeah, but it's still... I don't know. It probably works like that, because passwords, I think, you use the hashing mechanism, and then what is stored is not the password, is the key for the hash. I think it probably works the same way, where they have an algorithm that creates the private and public key, but they don't keep the private key, they keep the hash that allows them to provide to you the public and private key. That's probably how it works. And then they associate that with the buttons of creating the thing. I think that's how it works, probably. But it still gives the wallet provider a lot of control, because they are the bridge between you and the blockchain. Yeah, I have to study more about that again, because you can also change the RPC that you're using in MetaMask. But I know even if you do that, they still have some control, but I forgot how... Yeah, I need to remember which articles that I read about this. Because I know that even then, there's still a massive problem with the wallet provider being centralized or dominating most of the market. Yeah, I don't feel like rewriting everything that I did there just to put this thing here. I think what I'm gonna do is just change this thing here. And then I'm gonna take... I mean, maybe I'll take this off as well, actually. I'll just put this thing here, just to see if it is working or not. And then I'll think about later whether or not I'm gonna try to do the disconnect button. But I think next time I stream, I'm gonna do what I said, which is work on the videos just until I get to the point where I have enough videos so I can focus on stuff that I'm actually gonna have to study more to do it. And then once I get to the point, then I'm gonna split between making the videos and also studying stuff on stream. Because by studying these things, I'm gonna have more and more ideas of videos. Yeah, but I need to remember where do I found this stuff about MetaMask centralization. Just study that. I think it worked here. Yeah, it looks like it's working. The other thing, something that is different is the size of this, which I spent some time trying to change it, but not a lot, and I don't think it matters that much. I'm just gonna leave it like this. And the other thing that I was thinking about changing is this thing here, where to do something that it writes like an animation, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work on with Next.js. And the about is not going through the okay, now it is. I don't know what that was. SQL. Yeah, this contact here that I was thinking about, instead of making it just send me an email to store on the database, the address and the message. Maybe I should work on that now. And the connect wallets Yeah, I have to. Okay, now it's working. But I'm not connected, so I'm not gonna connect. Yeah, I'll search for how to disconnect at a later point. And then what I was gonna do, also that I remember, so I think what I'm gonna do here is to delete this one. Then I'm gonna rename this to frontend. And what I was gonna do is create a smart contract that allows me to put donations. So I'm gonna put a point here that says donate or help or whatever, and then I'm gonna create a smart contract that, or maybe I don't even need the smart contract actually. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna put my wallet address, I think, and then I'm gonna yeah, I have to think about how to do that, because I was thinking about getting the transactions from the blockchain on my wallet address and then displaying them here. Oh, I was gonna do NFTs actually. That's what I was gonna do. So create an NFT contract and then make it based on donation tiers, and then every time I'm gonna put an event listener for the contract on the application, and every time someone buys the NFT, it's gonna show on a section of the page. That was the goal that I had. And I also need to change the style on this one. It's just a class, I think. Because I was using React for the other projects. React Bootstrap, I think. Or no, Tailwind CSS maybe. I don't remember it all. I think it was actually React Bootstrap for the class. I don't remember. And I don't need this as well. Yeah, but now I'm gonna have to restart everything and then run yarn builds again. So the NFT contracts shouldn't be that difficult. I think I have the contracts already from the other project. I just have to think about the logic, the additional logic that I want to implement. Oh, and I remember because on the previous project that I did, I separate the logic for the marketplace and the NFT. But on this one, I'm gonna put them together again. So that's the first thing that I have to do, I think. Maybe if I go... What is the easiest way to do that? Because I remember someone on that project had the marketplace together with the NFT. So if I could just find that out and make a copy paste, it's probably better. Maybe I can use ChatGPT to help me out as well. I think what I'm gonna do is put this contract on the other file and then extend this one into the other one, and then I'll think about what I need to remove or remake on this one so that it works. Yeah, now it works. It's the same. Yeah, but maybe I need another button here for donations. And this is not linking to anything now. I think I'm also using Git, so I'm gonna do the commits there. But to be honest, I don't want to do this now, actually, the creating the contract, because I think it's gonna take too much time, so I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna stop, then I'm gonna focus only on creating the videos on these live streams until I get to the point where, yeah, because I need to make the videos faster, and also focusing on becoming better at editing them. Let me see how many videos. I don't know that there's a bunch of videos that I have to make. Some of them I think I'm gonna have to study. So those are probably the most interesting. Maybe I'll do. Maybe I won't do them in order. I'll do the ones that I have to study on stream, and then I will do the studying part on stream. I think it was on Twitch. Yeah, I have all these videos. Oh, this is ChatGPT stuff. I think I'm gonna remove this stuff from here and put it on the ChatGPT file, and then it's gonna be easier to see. Now this stuff here, yeah, I'll do a video about garbage collection as well, probably in the beginner. And in that video, I'm gonna have to study stuff to understand how it really works under the hood. Yeah, so there's all of these videos that I have to make still. And I think after I make all of these videos, yeah, then I'm gonna have to decide whether or not to do. I think I'm gonna have to do data structures and algorithms first. But for data structures and algorithms, I'm gonna have to study a lot. So those would be good to do these streams to prepare for them. Because I'm thinking about collecting a bunch of algorithms and then finding the archetype of each one. And I'm gonna use that as a lead magnet for the email funnel that I'm gonna try to build. And then only after I focus on data structures and algorithms, then I'm gonna go back to Web3. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna stop here and focus on this stuff later. I think that just connecting the wallet in that simple way is good enough for now. And I'm gonna focus on doing these videos on the next one. I'm gonna film the ternary one today and then edit the functions in ternary. And then next time I'm probably gonna structure this libraries framework. I'm gonna structure as many as I can during 1.5 hours, I think. And it's gonna be on this sequence here probably. And tomorrow and 2 days from now, I think tomorrow is Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow and Thursday I probably won't stream because I have stuff to do. And Friday I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna focus on this stuff.